No, that was pretty good. That was a pretty good sync. I suspect we'll have good luck today. Anyways, let's talk about a couple things real quick, real quick. We haven't talked to Kevin since he shot berries, and I thought that might hop on here and do
Oh,
this. And he took third place in berries in CO. I thought he shot LO, but he shot CO with his
it's different.
the Canic is now running
And
again.
my new Canic. No, it's a new Canic.
What's
Oh,
what's new about this Canic?
I bought another one. No, so I was having light strike issues, and I think resolved those with my other gun as well.
What
But
what was the culprit
Gen
on
X
those?
primers are hard. I don't know if you knew that. Uh, and a little inconsistent. And I wasn't running anything crazy, right? Like 15-pound recoil spring with like a 6-pound striker, but like one mag, it would light strike. So I found a new spring combo that works. This was after buying the gun and shooting the new gun at very still open with federal primers, just to make sure that we got those working on day 2. So day 1, I still had some light strikes, and so it was one of those things I kicked myself. I should have won that match, and like I'm not downplaying anybody, but I had like probably of the 9 stages I shot on day 1, I think I had a malfunction on 4 of them.
geez.
So
It's okay. It's not like they're part-time or anything like that.
right,
You're fine.
exactly. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So let's see, right there. There's my trophy.
Yeah, right, hanging in the back. So
In the window.
you bought another steel frame Canic to shoot the match with.
Well, so I mean, I'm traveling to matches, right? So I wanted to have a backup. I was using my polymer rifle as kind of my backup gun, and so I thought, well, I really like this gun. I enjoyed shooting the DWX, and I'll shoot it again probably after Nationals, CO Nationals. I'll switch to that for a few matches. But I enjoy shooting my Canic. I like it. I like shooting the cheaper gun and beating guys up with it. And not that the steel frame's the cheapest gun, but I like it.
Yeah, but
so I thought, buy another one.
it's your stick. It's your stick. It's just like
That's right.
Frank now is having an identity crisis because
He's
he's
shooting. He went from the bottom to the top.
yeah, he went from Frank the Tank, I'm everybody's rifleman. Everybody can be as good as me, and now he's like, I'm a bougie bitch.
I'm shooting an alien pistol. Yeah. For sure. So
Otherwise,
Gen
it's a
X
good match though. That was super fun down there.
I hear the weather wasn't
Good.
fantastic.
Weather was okay for me, right? So it was a little chilly the first day in the morning, but it could have been a little warmer, but I was fine. Like it was bearable. It just got a little cold, but only because I didn't bring gloves or like hand warmers. It was one of those things like I was packing my bag like, it's Southern Utah, it'll be fine.
And then
You didn't
brought-
bring gloves to the steel
No,
match where you have to
listen,
pick everything up?
Listen, my daughter, so my 2 kids shot the match with me too as well, right? So first major for them, that was a cool experience, and that I think part of day 1 was some of that too, right? Just like stressing out, making sure they're like, where's your mags? What's your stage plan?
Right.
So a little less visualization on my part. By day 2, I cleaned that up, but my daughter like came out first day and she's got her gloves on. I'm like, you brought your gloves? She's like, yeah.
You
Like,
didn't?
Well, dang it, my fingers are cold.
Let Daddy see those gloves, baby. Give Papa those
He's working it.
gloves.
They're
He's
too
got like
small,
2
so
fingers in
try.
them. Oh right, all right. No, yeah, I saw that you brought your kids and you sat there and shot that thing. So how many rounds of ammo did you go through on that week?
I don't count. I don't know why. Why would I pay attention to that?
Don't.
I know my supply of ammo is dwindling, so but I'm not counting.
Oh man.
So new rival shot the federal primers, not running the Gen X stuff, but the old rival is fixed with a spring combination that will work with the Gen X primers.
Yep, and I've got that in my primary gun too. I mean, it's the same recoil weight springs, a 15-pound, but I switched to a flat wire and to a 29 Newton Springco striker spring, and I shot far too much ammo in practice this week. Well, maybe not too much to pay attention to, and don't add up the numbers of what it costs, but it functioned flawlessly on the last 500 rounds. So
That's
you go.
nice.
Well, so my question would be, well, like, why not just like your daughter shoots a Glock 34, right? And what's your son shoot? Walther
PDP.
PDP.
Yeah.
Let them shoot the Gen X primer stuff. Let Papa have Papa's gun can't run on this dirty fuel. Like let Papa have the Federals.
I
Hey,
get the gold match.
I'm planning to do that for majors. I want them to function, right? Like, because it doesn't seem that unreasonable. And so I'll practice and stuff with some of that Gen X primers, and then I saw a picture that you guys I think saw it. I got a load of Federal primers from the local hardware store for, I guess, reasonable. I don't know. Primer prices are crazy right now, but
Yep.
What is Federal going for these days?
I think they were 80, 1,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
That actually is reasonable.
As I mean, it's not reasonable, but if I forget about the last 2 years, it seems fine. I guess I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. If you forget about the $150 or what did I buy my last set at
$125
$90?
for 5,000 Winchesters.
Yeah, I think I spent $500
I
and
know.
5,000 primers last time, so $80 does not sound terrible.
I've still got 20,000 of those $125 boxes, and I look at them and I'm like, I don't want to use these.
You
Well,
want to pull those out in 10 years and go, see, this is
Yeah.
what primers used to cost.
yeah,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is how the good old days used to be. Let's talk about something that probably won't be remembered fondly, or maybe it will be remembered fondly. All of us got to handle the Springfield Echelon, and it's a great feeling pistol. Would be my review. I mean, Springfield was kind enough to come down
I think it
and sponsor.
sucks. But I didn't have but apparently I didn't have the gun that actually had the backstrap that was correct or something, right? That's what you told me.
Well, so first off, we should explain that. So Springfield came out as a sponsor for the cop match, and as part of that, they wanted to have a stage gun, and my foolish self
Ignorant.
acquiesced.
Say ignorant, because you didn't know what you
You can
didn't
be
know.
both. You can be foolish and ignorant, but I was like, sure, you could do that. And so it was part of the match where everybody shot Springfield's gun, Springfield's ammo, and they set up this little pro-am. And it was a fun little stage. And talking to a lot of the guys afterwards, basically the guys who were there who were just cops trying to get free shit, which is, probably like 70% of the match, they were all fine with it. They didn't care. They were like, sure, I'll shoot somebody else's gun. Sure. Are you going to give me ammo? I don't care. They were all happy. The competitors, none of them were happy. They were all angry. And apparently, there was like one or two people that just refused to shoot the stage and
Really?
didn't do it. And so Springfield was actually pretty hot about that because they were like, you said you were going to have everyone shoot this. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you, bro.
They're not buying it. They're
built
not going to buy your gun. Like
Yeah.
I
So
I didn't care which way or another. Like I didn't care which way to shoot it or not. Like I shot an iron sight gun on Saturday, so I was like, all right, I'll shoot the iron sighted freaking model. I'll go shoot that thing, whatever. Asked the guy where the sights held, approximated where that would be on the target, and shot it, and it was fine. Like
Well, plot twist, he didn't even know where to hold.
yeah.
Well, and the thing that was frustrating was it wasn't like it was like blasting away at a target that's 5 yards away on its paper. It was a 20-yard plate rack. And so most coppers are going to have a very, very difficult time with a 20-yard plate rack in general, let alone with a new gun, let alone with who knows if it's zeroed. One of the SROs was perfectly zeroed. Apparently one of the RMRs was not zeroed. And so there was just some general bitching about it. But the big thing is we took it, we kept it in the iPad, we kept it in the match so you can like see how people did on it. But it was not for score. That stage awarded 0 match points.
And may God have mercy on your soul.
Yeah, but honestly, like I actually liked the Springfield Echelon. It was a neat pistol. I like the trigger. I like the grip zone. I like the trigger zone. I like all the zones on it.
All the zones are good. Like it does everything. Well, here's the deal. It's exactly like a well thought out pistol. Like the grip is great. The grip angle's Glock. The magazine well is very fantastic. The grip modules that they put on, like they did something SIG still hasn't really thought too much to do, which is like have
they made
like
it drop safe.
yeah, well that way it is drop safe. They have like this really aggressive, almost like RTF2 grip texture that you can put on. Like you can get a whole frame with this RTF2 like type grip texture. Really, really aggressive. The trigger's not bad. The slide is very easily to manipulate. It's got a bunch of actually working grooves and um, serrations on it everywhere, and like that optics cut system, that you put your little posts in there and all that jazz, and apparently works out. But the one thing that I thought was fun is like they still couldn't not Springfield themselves, which was they were talking to us about the magazines, and they were like, "Hey, these magazines are 20 round magazines, but take it easy because you could fit
Oh,
22 in them." And it's just like, well, why don't we just put 22 in them? Well, because the floor plate hangs
'cause they
up with
don't
the
work.
mag, and it
Oh,
hangs the follower up. So please don't put 22 in here because then the magazine doesn't
I
work. And then you
I
think like,
couldn't believe he said that, and I was like,
Yeah.
dude,
well, well,
oh.
but because he has to say it, because if you go back in there and like all we do when we load magazines is like no one counts anymore. They just go, all right, now it's properly tensioned and we got enough bullets in this, and like
Yeah, and when
we're
it feels like you can't get one more in there, you take the upload and you stand on it to get one more in there, and
yeah,
you slide that thing in just barely, hoping that you're not denting the case in the process.
yeah,
Sponsored by
and
Rune Tactical.
didn't the echelons have the issue with the base coming apart or something like that?
Yeah, I don't. It's just
it's just
like
so
it was fun and it was nice.
it's a good
There was
pistol.
some. It's a
Wait, so
good
the
pistol.
people who refused to shoot at Jared, like, what was their? Did they offer an argument that there's someone touching it or
I
what?
didn't even talk to him. I just learned yesterday. One of the ROs came up and talked to me about it. The RO who was helping the Springfield guys, he's like, "Oh yeah, these guys, they just didn't want to do it. They said this is stupid and it's not for score, so I'm not going to fricking do it." And I said,
Wow.
"Oh,
Somebody else's gun
thanks."
and ammo? What is wrong with these people?
I don't
Just
know.
go shoot it.
Well,
Well, and
it's
the
just
odd
like,
thing is that the two people that I know that this person referenced to, they're both not like fantastic shooters. Like they're fine, but they're not like going to be winning. And
but
so
do
it
they
was just
own
kind of an odd
staccatos?
thing.
Are they
No,
rocking staccatos?
they're
They're
Just
rocking.
Glock
shoot open.
shooters.
Oh
Shoot open. They
man.
shoot Glock. What? Like, I don't get it.
So it was just honestly it was just odd. Well, he told me he talked about it and he's like, yeah, this one person they didn't want to shoot at the stage, but I talked to him into it. I'm like, hey, if you shoot it, you're entered in to win the gun. If you don't shoot it, you're not gonna have a chance to win the gun. So I mean, so it was just
Well,
Well,
I
it's
that's
don't
like
like
know.
it's like
It was just odd.
that's the
Billy Bob
Costco's.
over in Trailer Park 1 yelling at Billy Joe over in Trailer Park 2. And I mean, they're just two trash pandas like yelling at each other. So
Right.
I mean, whether it's a
So
Glock or a Springfield, who cares?
my big thing with all these companies coming out with like their Glock killers, like the PDP, the Canic, FN came out with one, the M&P 2.0, the new Echelon, the XDM. There's a million of them, right? And honestly, the gun themselves, if you just compare this gun to this gun, they might be better. Like they honestly might be. The Echelon probably is a better gun than a bitch ass Echelon and a bitch ass Glock. If you shoot them next to each other, you're probably going to choose the Echelon. But you don't go with a Glock because of the fact that it shoots better. You go with a Glock because you have a duty holster. You go with a Glock because you have a SIM and a UTM and a airsoft gun. You have red guns. You have um, concealed carry holsters. You have all this plethora of secondary stuff that is all needed to support the gun. Because when guys came out, that when the PDP came out, the PDP is an absolutely fantastic gun, and I love the PDP. Absolute great grip, great slide serrations, great trigger, great everything. But guess what? There
No
wasn't a
aftermarket.
fucking duty holster for it. So what the hell was a cop gonna do with it? Like it was literally useless as a duty gun because there wasn't a duty holster. And then you have
Right.
the secondary question, like, okay, well, the first thing you need is the duty holster. The second thing you need is pretend guns or fake guns, and then you need blue guns, and then you need practice guns like the simunitions. You need the UTM gun, so you need all this secondary back end stuff that's very, very important if you want a gun to actually become the duty gun for a department. Because why would I transfer over to PDPs or echelons or M&P 2.0s or any of those things, and then guess what, when we're going to do force on force scenarios,
You got to use a
everybody
Go
different
gets
back
gun.
to a
Glock.
Glock.
Yeah, go back to a Glock. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
So it's just stupid.
Yep. The one thing about like the people not wanting to shoot it, but then like being talked into it by like you have a chance of winning the gun. It's like turning down the Costco sample, but it's just like, but if you eat the Costco sample, we'll give you a bag for free. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. Now I'm
I do
ready.
want these fish sticks.
Now I will buy the 15-pound bag of fish
No,
sticks.
it's a fine gun. It is. I mean, it's a fine gun. I mean, I had the wrong one, and so I couldn't actually hit the mag release, even though the Springfield arguably has the best mag release on the planet because you don't ever have to swap it. It just works. I mean,
Yep.
it's not the janky ass thing that you get with the German paddle thing.
Those aren't janky
It
ass.
just
Those work all the time. They're
it
fantastic.
They're
was
called cultured. They're not janky. They're cultured mag releases.
yeah. Well, they lost 2 world wars, so fuck them.
Oh.
Not with the HK was not even around in the first 2 world wars, and
They were around in some form, just like Volkswagen wasn't around.
those
We don't talk about what happened in the 40s now, do we?
those fine people at Mauser didn't have any affiliation with the Nazi Party, and please do not look it up. Welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Hernandez. Joining me tonight, look up the term fart knocker in the Urban Dictionary, and it'll show you a picture of one Robert Wyatt.
Yeah, I okay. I'm down.
Do you use your fist or just a finger, or what do you knock with?
I don't know. I'm kind of wondering about this all of a sudden.
2 fists.
Oh,
Damn.
Yeah, that's why he
Kevin,
gets.
serious.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks. He
That's
told
what
us.
happens in northern Utah.
He told his kids to live by one rule: if you ain't high, you ain't fly. It's Kevin Isaac.
You got to go in high all the time, right? Like plausible deniability. Why'd you do it? I was high.
I was high. I was high. Kiddo, it's your turn on the stage. Take a hit off this blunt. And if you would like a reshoot, just become the match director. It's Jared Stepp.
Attaboy. That's the correct answer.
Real question is, did you berate anybody at the match?
Yes, I berated everyone. The funnest person
Yeah,
that I had
fair.
berating
He
was
actually really
Shane
did.
Coley. I was absolutely just attacking Shane for a minute, and he was laughing his ass off, and he was being a good sport about it, so it was funny. But yeah, I yelled at everyone.
At least it's
Very
fair, though.
aggressively.
Competitive
Yeah.
equity.
He got all the
Yeah.
killing done in the stage briefing. So anyway, this week was a big week. Jared's Utah law enforcement match happened on Wednesday. We shot it as staff on Tuesday. Ran. How many cops did we run through this thing?
Total
255?
shooters were 255 for the staff in the main match, and then we had 145 for the not a cop on Saturday for a total of 400. Yeah, 400 shooters in 3 days, boys.
That is
Good
the single
time.
largest match in the state of Utah, and arguably it competes with nationals. But unlike nationals, the UTLE handgun championships is fun.
Oh,
And
I don't know about
exciting,
competing with
and moves
nationals,
well,
but it was
and
a
has
lot
hot
of people.
dogs, free hot dogs.
Yeah, everybody loves hot dogs.
No,
Who
it's
doesn't love
great.
And
All the
gushers.
ones you can take.
And gushers. Go, calm down here. If this is, they weren't foot longs. They were at best 4 to 5 inches.
But they were
They're
Costco
average.
ones, and so Costco's are pretty good hot dogs.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like yeah, it was great because like I would leave my stage and
Nice
you know
and
we
juicy.
we had plenty of staffing, and so like you get spelled every couple squads. You know, you take a little break for half the squad, and I'd go over there and grab a hot dog, and I was like, I don't even really want a hot dog. Then you have a hot dog, and then you're just like, okay. And then like 2 hours later, you know, I was like, you know what would hit that damn spot in my stomach? Another hot dog. I think Travis had like 6 of them. He was like, I'm gonna go get another hot dog. I was like, all right, dude, go get another hot dog.
Well, last year was a lot colder than this
Oh
year.
yeah.
And so the hot dogs just were perfect. Like everybody was just a little chilled, and those nice hot meat in your mouth, everybody loved it. And everybody just were grabbing so many hot dogs. This year, I don't think we went through as many as we did last year, even though we had more people. It was just, it wasn't as cold. It was actually quite nice. And it was a very beautiful weather for the last couple of days. So I was very
Yeah.
happy about that.
Yep. That was great. So
Hot dogs were great.
We shot on Tuesday. Me, Robert, and Jared all shot in the same squad. We went out there. Jared shot his Tactical Steel Customs 4-inch blaster McBlaster, whatever it was. I ended
Yeah.
up taking my P2000 with my white dot sights and decided it's like, you know what? I'm gonna shoot 400 rounds through this bad boy this week. And I went out there with that thing, and
It was cool because but we started on stage 1, and then you guys reshot it because the match director didn't like his score. So
Correct.
we reshot it again, and then by
And
stage
we changed
2,
some targets.
Oh yeah,
It's
we
important.
had to change the targets. Yeah, because the match director didn't like those targets either.
Exactly.
because we shot some steel KOs, and then we all
We
were
shot
looking
these
at.
still KOs that everybody was getting fragged with like blood running down people's
Everyone
arms.
was
like,
bleeding. We shot it in like half of the stage. We looked around, like everyone's bleeding. I'm bleeding from my hand. Somebody's bleeding
Yeah.
from their face, and so we were just like, all right, 6 KOs.
I shot it. I shot it, and I caught a frag in the middle of shooting, and so my hand was covered in blood as I'm shooting, and I go through and shoot the thing. And then it was pretty great. It was pretty great, and we were like, okay, I think we just need to swap these out for paper because this isn't fucking working.
Yeah, by stage 2, Tommy wanted to swap his gun out for anything else.
I did not like. I already knew like it wasn't really going to matter, so I was happy. But I did go to on a 20-yard steel KO plate. I literally shot 10 rounds at it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, he went to war pretty hard with anything that actually required accuracy.
I literally bisected the target with the top of the sights, fired, and I couldn't tell where it was, but Jared was ROing me, and Jared kept seeing them low, and then I finally hit the base.
I didn't call it out though because I'm a gentleman.
Yeah.
So and Tommy wasn't the match director.
I started.
No coaching here.
No reshoots. No reshoots
not for Tommy.
And I see it hit the stand.
Tommy's what you call a professional. He doesn't need coaching.
Uh-huh.
I saw it hit the stand, and I'm like, oh, bitch, we're freaking way low. And so I start pulling the sights up, and I'm like, on a 3-dot system, like maybe it should be the top of the sights, not the dots. And then you're like, maybe it's the dot. And it was like the bottom of the dot is where I had to hold at 20 yards. So I'm sitting there like having this little science experiment shooting at it. And so anyway, I get done with that
on the clock.
And then by the end of the day, like I finally got the hang of the dang thing, and it had gotten a lot better. But it was a lot of fun to shoot that thing all day. And yeah, I just had a great
400 rounds later.
400 rounds later, just this little blaster. I had factory grease coming out the back end of it, and I was just like, that's how you know it's new. When you get that nice titanium or whatever, like copper grease that comes out of the back of the pistols, you're like, you're not getting that stuff back. And
the Cosmolines coming out of the back end.
Yeah, so it was
and ran flawlessly for you. You're switching over. That's your primary gun now.
Yeah, like that as a carry gun, like that thing is pretty awesome. Like it is for once you learn the sights, it is damn accurate. I shot 3 different HKs over the past few days, and they all ran absolutely like champions. But I did go immediately to a little website called Dawson Precision. Do you guys remember back in the day when we shot these iron sighted pistols, and we were like, these sights fucking suck, and then we were like, hey, let's go get these fiber optics. And so I immediately went over to Dawson Precision, and it was just like $80. Take my money, have this. I even looked out some of
which I think is stupid, Tommy. I don't know why you're doing that, because you're literally going to go and have a dot put on it like next week, and then you're going to sell it.
I think it's a good move. I think the next owner next week will be really happy to have good sights.
Tommy won't upcharge for that. He's like, I'm moving on. Just take it off.
Whoever buys it next week is going to be very happy.
You never
true.
You never upcharge for it because you want to get high right now. That's why you never upcharge for the upgrades. Like, nah, man, I'll take what I can get. Let's get that heroin in the veins. No, so I ordered that, and then I was sitting there messing around with like looking at stuff, and like Gray Guns has one of these sears, these short reset sears for the HKs, which would be pretty nice to put into. But no, it's a great. I'm gonna leave it irons, and I honestly like. It would have been fun for other people to shoot production in the same squad. I was the only iron sight shooter in our squad, but like it would have been pretty nice to have.
The rest of us embrace technology.
Yeah, well, I have the technology too. Shut up. But anyways, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed shooting irons, and I almost kind of want to have it as just to pick up a little prod gun every once in a while.
Just a masochist gun. Every once in a while, you put the ball gag in and just run around and shoot your iron sights gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much.
Tommy the Gimp.
All right, your guys'
great.
top match, Jared.
Oh Jesus, I don't even know where to begin with this shit. It was
After
fun.
I changed all the stages to make sure that I'd win, it was a great time.
Naturally, once I got into practice score and edited the Tony Cowden way, then I won. No, it was fun. It was a good time. I had a number of mistakes and I had a number of good stages. I was really happy with the product, though. That was the big thing. Is how I run matches is match flow. Match flow is the god of the match, and so I am all about that, and I'm all about trying to have this flow and have this go as fast as possible. So the long bays, typically I try to make it so you can reset as you go to help shorten the reset. And there are ways to do it where you can still, even if it's on a longer bay and a longer stage, you can actually shorten the reset on that, because in theory, when the shooter is at the end shooting 30 times at one piece of steel,
the rest is already
the entire stage should already be reset.
Yeah,
and so there's ways to actually handle those stages and still make it so.
Like
even
Tommy
though this is a long stage,
when he was shooting that stage, I mean, it took him so long.
Yeah,
on that
we started the next
actually,
shooter.
8 seconds. 8 seconds.
And like we had called Domino's, they showed up and was delivering. We were eating lunch long before lunch, and Tommy was still whack, low.
That
left,
one,
right,
he's up there whacking
down, A, B, start.
I'll cut that video and put it on the PARAcast Telegram. It is painful to watch me just go. Yeah, it was rough stuff. Like the match flow is fantastic. I think we were 30 minutes per stage with 14-man squads or 12-man squads. We were moving around pretty damn quick.
Yeah, about that.
So an interesting thing actually is when we had the 8 to 10-man squads, which is what it was on the staff day. 8 to 10-man squads, our reset was about, I think, 25 to 30 minutes a stage. When we had the 13 to 14-man squads on match day, the turnover time was the same. And partly the reason is if you have too few of shooters, then they don't reset, because obviously if you have the shooter, then you have the RO, then you have the guy who just shot, then you have the guy who's about to shoot, then you have the other guy with the iPad, and then you have the one lazy person on the squad who isn't going to reset because they say their knees hurt. You only have
shut up! Get out of here! I reset
4 resetters
all the time.
And
Tommy was a good worker.
And so there's a Goldilocks zone there where if it's below 10, it's not enough people to reset. And so you need to have, actually, I've found out between 12 and 14 is that Goldilocks zone. Actually, I think 12 and 13 is perfect. If you can do 12 and 13 squads, man squads, they will reset the fastest possible, where you're having enough resetters, but it's not clogging up. Because once you get into these slips of squads where it's like 17 people, and then you're like, yeah, I'm going to walk over there and reset 1 piece of paper. And it's not even like, then guys stop resetting because they think somebody else is going to reset. Then you run into problems.
Resetting.
Right. And that's the thing. Then what happens is, because if everybody thinks somebody else is going to do it, then they don't do it. And so that 12 to 14 is the Goldilocks zone. And so we had that for the main match, and that actually flew just as fast as the staff day. And even though staff was 8, I think there was 9 and 10 shooters. And then on Nauticop, we had 12 or 13 man squads. And those 12 and 13 man squads, I think, Robert, how fast were we going? Like 25 minutes a stage?
Yeah.
Maybe 20? Like, zoomed.
Our average turnover, if I remember right, I have to go look at the pad, was between, I think it was 22 and 27 minutes.
We did 13 stages.
Right around
13 stages, and we were done by 3:30.
3:30.
Well, and honestly,
and off the range with everything tore down at 4:30. Awards, prize table, tear down, everything. That is the single best match you could ever hope to shoot. And I defy you to show me a match that good with that many competitors that gives you a prize table and everything all done in that amount of time anywhere, because it was nothing short of amazing. And every single year it's been fantastic. It is the best match to shoot all year.
One of the
I was pretty
observations,
happy with it.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
100%.
you did a fantastic job. One of the things about ROing that is just 2 shots per, like 2 shots per, 1 shot to neutralize in the A. How easy that is to score, especially with fresh targets. You put fresh targets up, you take one glance, you know exactly what the score is on the stage. Me and Travis and me and Troy, we would when we were alternating, we would just go like, from unload and show clear,
Well,
range is clear, to all scored was about 10 seconds. I would walk around, look at my side. Travis would look at his side. Clean left, clean right, tape them. And like
on
most, it
on a
was,
couple of the stages, the RO can actually, as he's following, holding the timer, you can see every single double tap, like two, two,
yeah,
two, two. There's the alpha. Yep, no, it's clean. Tape it. Like you
Yep.
Yeah,
can call it
towards the
clean
end, towards the end of
at the
the end
end.
of the match, when the targets are really getting toasty,
it
Yeah,
gets
that was
harder.
bad.
it took
I
it
should
took a little bit.
I should have replaced the targets. That's my bad.
The
That's okay, but that's the thing. I mean, we were talking about that, and we're like, should
But
we
also,
replace the
fuck it.
target? And I'm like, well, are there 2 shots on it? Yeah. Are we looking for a scoring zone? No. I don't care.
Yeah, well-
Like, it's
Well,
great.
whatever time you saved by stopping and replacing targets, you probably would have taken the same amount of time to stare a little
That's
harder
half
and
a-
make sure
that's
that
half a
you're
squat.
on
Tap a
Yeah.
squat.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
one thing.
Our last stage was, we were probably shooting more tape than cardboard, but a brown is brown the way I look at it.
Right.
Well, and like on my stage, we resurfaced 3 times throughout the day to make sure for the cop match, for the not a cop match. We just go through it.
That is kind of a funny thing. Like, so I was sitting there and I did stats for it and everything, and I'd wander around. Of all of the ROs and all the stages, we had one stage that we got more RO calls than anybody. It was stage 9.
Or
Hi, Tom.
RO calls. What? Getting stuff
Oh.
over, getting stick repaired. Okay, let me give you the
Towards
value.
the end, I was thinking of like sneaking over there and stealing his walkie-talkie so he would stop bugging me.
Okay,
That was the pro move for what not a cop is. All the walkie-talkies died at about 1 p.m. so nobody could call me.
Problems go away.
Yeah, I can't DQ anybody if you can't get a hold of me. So haha.
So we had a lot of open targets and we had 2 shots per. Now, when the A zone is equal to the D zone gets lit the F up. Now, the other thing that's like
Attaboys.
Children, what is directly behind the D zone? Sticks. Shooting sticks. It was Stick-mageddon everywhere. And not only that, like it was Wall-mageddon on some, like at one point I had a wall that was shot out so bad. I was just like, this thing is going to fall the F over. I was like, how can we fix this? Because we can't put a no-shoot.
I didn't know how bad yours was, Tom, until I saw it after the match, and I saw it, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
It wouldn't have been so bad, but you painted the wall black.
It was right. It was right next. It was just enough that like if you were in the right spot, you got a 3/4 view of the target.
Yeah.
And 1/4 was behind a wall. And guess what? There wasn't a whole lot of sight pictures when guys were going that fast with their staccatos and their 509Ts on top of them.
But they weren't going that fast. Their aiming just sucked.
I would say the target was inside the aiming box of the 509T. And I saw so many gold dots and FHSTs, like they'll blow the shit out of a wall. Like I asked for I need a shooting stick, I need 2 screws and a screw gun. And I built a shooting stick spine to the back of that thing to get there. And then and then you have here's the funny thing is there was 2 swingers in the match, and all credit to Taylor Daggs and his platform that made it so there was no reshoot on the swingers ever.
Yay, Taylor.
Taylor's awesome.
A lot of cops, this is their first or second match. And I would see them reset by grabbing the target stick on the swinger and pushing the target stick that it's attached to down. And it's just oh my gosh, my little heart. And so I would
you could just hear the cracking.
I would just go. It was I not only do I have to resurface the targets because the stuff is blowing off because they have wood shrapnel on the side. I'm trying to staple up stuff the target is not supposed to support the stick. The stick is supposed to support the target. You would go back there and you just start peeling off tops of the sticks off of there, and it's just sticks. I need sticks. I need stuff to keep this wall up. It was a blast. And even with all those things of paying attention to trying to run it like a major match and give people their 5-minute walkthroughs and everything else like that. It ran better than anything I had ever seen in my life or participated with in 15 years of shooting sports. I watched Shane Coley shoot a stage, and here's the funny thing about this match is like you have to shoot at such an ungodly speed that the worst thing can happen to you is someone puts a mini popper up. And I watched even Shane Coley just blaze through, get to almost everyone else was shooting 11 and 12 seconds, the good guys. Shane gets to the last spot at like 850 and then goes miss, 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 bing on a steal, transitions to the next window, fires at Charlie, and then the gun goes to slide lock. And so now it's going to be a failure to neutralize because he doesn't have 2 hits in the target, 1 in the A. And he was such a class act, he literally went, fudge. Oh man, I didn't neutralize that one. I was just like unload and show clear, slide forward, hammer down. He hammers down, and it's just like
I told everybody if they run out and they have one target left, if they throw a knife and it sticks in the paper, it would count.
But it was one of those matches. It's like you think about like just 2 per, but like there's a lot of value in understanding the speed of which something can be shot and how to push yourself through it. But not only that, it's like there was some hard breaks in the shooting that you needed to apply some sights for. And one of the hardest things to do in that match was going 2 per on open paper and then go popper.
Shift gears.
Yeah, shift gears, because I was watching when I shot not a copy yesterday. I was shooting paper headshots, and then I shot an open paper, and then the next shot after the open paper, I was like, why the hell is this dot moving around so much? And then my hands went, oh yeah, hold. It was like, oh wow, the dot's stable. Shoot more now. And it's just like we should do that all the time. And it's just crazy what that kind of speed will do to people. And that's one of the comments I was having when talking to shooters, is just like, I normally aren't like, don't miss stuff like this or like have these bad accuracy. It's like, oh, everybody does when they literally try to drive at 200 miles an hour through the entire race course. Like it can get to be rough stuff.
Well, that was my favorite compliment from the match was Shane Coley. He came out and shot it, and I asked him, I was just messing around with him, and I said, hey, so this is your favorite match ever? And he laughs and he goes, no, but this honestly probably is the fastest match I have ever shot. And I go, fuck yeah, I'll take it, and gave him a high five, and I walked away. And then after the match, he came up to me and he said, honestly though, like seriously, like this is probably one of my favorite, like fun wise. This is one of the funnest matches I've ever shot. And this actually showed me some deficiencies in my training, and it showed me some issues that I have. And so I'm actually going to be using some of this stuff in my practice in the next couple of days to get me ready for Carry Optics Nationals. And so I told him that he has to tag me on Facebook and explain that Waypoint training taught him how to shoot. And he laughed and then walked away. And I was like,
Well, actually,
oh, serious?
Thinking about that, I think that for certain shooters, like myself included, it's easy for me to slow down, right? It's really hard for me to push fast. And
Right.
So training using the kind of 2 on brown could actually be, I think, a beneficial asset, right? Just to get you in that.
All gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it's that thing that Sauerland talked about in his class. I mean, like, when you're trying to work on that, I mean, let that just be the singular point of focus, and just send it. And I mean, who was it? Colby. We shot during the staff day portion of it. I was shooting it, and Colby came up towards the end of it, and he's like, you're pushing it really hard, and you've got good times, but he's like, I've noticed even at that, you're still getting alpha charties, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I am going too slow, and I have always known I'm a slow shooter.
You did good though. You shot really well, and didn't you get like what, third?
Third, yeah.
Yay!
So, yay!
That's pretty good.
yeah,
it's not bad.
One of the things that's like, it's very beneficial to do that. I talked to Jared about this. Is just like, it's good to have a target that's like that, but it's also good to have a target that may have like the entire D zone blocked out, or like shooting 2 on something that's a little bit more forgiving than a tux, like a C zone, that actually has some of the target on there that, just to kind of protect the sticks a bit. But like shooting at like a C zone area as fast as you can, trying to put 2 shots in a C zone could be very beneficial for everybody in their practice. because as we all know from shooting USPSA, like getting good at shooting a C-zone target's great. Throwing deltas on stuff too while you're pushing it, probably not the best. Like, but like if you could have an excellent grip and the vision enough to at least land two in a C-zone area, that is quite effective in almost
Well,
any shooting sport you're into.
so I talked to one of the guys about this. He was talking about, he's like, "Oh yeah, I mean, this is great and all, but it's not USPSA, and I gotta slow down for this." And I was like, "Okay, here's a pro tip for you, buddy. Go look at all the major matches and look at who won, and then look at the times, and you're gonna see the fastest shooter wins the match 99% of the time. That is how they win, by being the fastest. The accuracy portion is just a matter of being in control and actually tightening your shit down. That's easy to do. Every single one of us could tighten our shit up a little bit. But going faster, that's hard. So this is where this match really excels, on just trying to go fast. And that's actually a fun thing to do. Is the next match you go to, if you're struggling with speed, the next match you go to, try this scoring system in your head and just say two anywhere. Go as fast as you can, two anywhere on that bitch, two anywhere on the whole thing, and see if you can actually do the speed portion of the game. Because if I want to go fast, and if I want to try to get as fast as some of these other guys, I say, okay, you know what? I don't care. I don't care if it's an alpha or two Charlies or two, Charlie Delta. It doesn't matter. Two anywhere. I'm trying to go as fast as I humanly can, just to see if I can even perform at the speed that Kevin's going at. That's the goal here. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be two alphas. And once you start doing that, you start to notice that, oh, maybe I'm over aiming a little bit. Because most of us, if you actually have a good fundamentals, have a good grip, you have an 80-ounce gun, the gun is going to recoil and it'll come back and it'll be fine. Like, you can trust and you can believe in yourself. I know it sounds like a cat poster, but you can believe. And that's actually one of the best things that this match will do, is actually will give you a whole lot of confidence and be like, wait a second, I don't suck. I've just been over confirming a lot of these things.
Right.
And so it's a lot of fun. It's a very different style, but it very much can help in other styles. And it makes me sad when guys come up to me and they're like, sorry, bro, I can't shoot it. It's not USPSA. I'm like, that's okay. Like, it's sold out. So, I mean, I don't care. But like, if you don't want to come, that's fine. But just know that that's not true.
Just know that you're being a bitch, and it's not true.
Well, it's just not true. It's like, if you shoot it just like you would shoot USPSA, and you'll do just fine.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, I think one of the cool things that I've seen, just being kind of a part of this thing ever since you started it, and talking to a bunch of the competitors and things like that, is just, this was started to get officers into competitive shooting and like teach them. And you made this really interesting comment that I've started hanging on to, is like, your average police officer coming out of the academy, they're basically like a B-class shooter. Their stand and deliver skills are actually pretty darn good, but their ability to shoot and move is somewhere low C or a D class.
Right.
And this match gives them the opportunity. It kind of almost forces them to actually start moving around. And from the perspective of just seeing where they started at when you took this over, and I know that like Jeremy Dunn was doing it before you, but when I first got involved in it, there was ROs. We'd have these RO conversations of like,
yeah,
I'm
they were
never
terrified.
coming back again because I have never seen so many guns pointed at me in one match. To now, where a huge chunk of the competitors, they become very competent. They're good. They're keeping the guns in the correct direction. That's fantastic.
Now it actually builds confidence in your local community, because if you come and RO this and then you see that, oh shit, them Sandy boys got their shit locked on tight. Like, the Sandy guys know what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
And then it's funny because you see some other groups come by and they're like wearing their shirts and you're like, oh, maybe
Easy to
not.
practice.
Yeah.
The
And it's really funny because you see these other agencies come through and you're like, oh, not them. I don't think I would want to live in that city. But these guys are doing great. And
Well,
it's kind of fun. And like, I know guys who have met cops from their city and they're like, hey, that's where I live. I hope you're a good shooter. And then they're good shooters. So afterwards, like I've had guys come up to me like, hey, I want to pay for that guy's match fees because he's one of my cops and he's in my city. Can I give you the $65 for the match fee? You give it back to him and just tell him that a citizen from his city thanks him. And I'm like, sure, dude, I'm happy to do that. And then I pocketed it and I didn't give it to him.
Yeah, it's just like a cop.
My money now.
No, so I went and gave it to him and he was really happy. And it was a nice experience for him. And that's my goal here. The whole goal for the cop match is to have cops have positive experiences shooting a competition and actually going at speed, actually shooting fast and learning that one, it's possible, and two, you can actually be accurate. You can actually do all these things. I have a class that I teach about recoil management, and it's hilarious. I teach cops this, and I show them how to actually grip a gun. And the first time they shoot, when the sight goes away and then it comes back and it's right exactly where it left, I literally have guys who have been on SWAT for 15, 20 years. I have guys who have been officers for 20, 30 years go, what the fuck?
Magic.
How did you do that? And I'm like, this is how it's supposed to have been happening the whole time. You've just had shitty instructors. And then they go, oh my God. And it's hilarious.
Well,
I laugh my ass off every time. And then I cry.
the crazy thing too is like just some observations of watching shooters go through every shooter go kind of through the stage is the older police officers were the less safe and the
What? No
least
way.
accurate. Like moving with their fingers in the triggers, clearing malfunctions with their fingers. You know, it's hard to tell as the RO. This is easier to tell from the young guys. This while some guy's trying to clear his Glock, you know,
No,
out.
it's out of the trigger guard. It's out of the trigger guard.
It's out of the trigger guard or what, you know, it yeah, and like the spatial awareness around the stage was, but a lot of these young guys, it was fantastic. You're like, oh man, like don't come shoot USPSA. Like I'd see some of these guys and be like, okay, like I shot it 2 seconds quicker, but like he's way more athletic and way more talented than I am. Please don't come shoot our sport. You know, it was kind of funny like that. The other notice too, which was like obviously the influence in the gear which has come through has been like it was 40, it seemed like 50% Glocks, 40% STI, I mean staccatos, and then like 5% something else here and there, and then like, you know, an M&P. The other 5% were like M&Ps. And so it was like there's a lot of interest because even the Glock equipment that you were seeing on there was like you would see some Henning base pads or you see some Taylor Freelance base pads, and you would see quality gear. And the other thing that was impressed upon me is how much of the damn market share Hollow Sun has eaten up. Like I saw 3 RMRs, I saw 3 Delta Points, I saw 1 Acro, and the rest of the kids were playing with 509Ts and EPSs and a couple SCSs I saw there. But like the 509 and the EPS, that was on almost every single Glock or STI staccato that was on there. And I could not believe the amount of staccatos.
And they don't have $11 billion of like discretionary income either.
Yeah, we have a lot of ex-wives and alimony.
And Hollow Sun does make a quality product. Here's the thing I noticed, Tommy, that I thought was really cool. So I've had a couple of people like Vuki came to. He started coming to the indoor matches. He came to the introduction, and then he started coming to them. And he's been doing this for a while. And I saw, and he was at the match, and I saw this officer who started out, and he started out shooting at the intro match, and he shot well, he shot fine, but he shot very cautious, and he was very deliberate and considerate in everything that he did,
because that's what he's been taught.
Yeah, but I have seen him go from this cautious, like this cautious, very deliberate guy to like watching him shoot the stages. Like he is deliberate, he's confident, and he's moving through the stages. And it's like this is a guy who has actually used competition to become really good at what he's doing. I mean, is he the best in the world? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But you see so many of these officers that started out in competition in that, I mean, they had the skills that they were taught at the academy, and they just rocket up so fast because it's what Jared said. I mean, they have a good set of fundamental skills,
Yep.
but the competition just really just puts the polish and hones it.
It shows them what's actually possible. Believe me, like
Yeah,
a
and
lot
then
of
the cool thing about
a
that
lot of these
whole
guys who are
thing is
55, 60, man, we could really use you guys to understand what's possible, like safe clearing of weapons, moving through a stage efficiently, like taking sight pick, like the amount of guys I saw that sat there with their Glocks or their service weapon who took 5 or 6 shots at a steel popper and then went, what's going on here? Let me see, and then like aimed
My
harder.
sights must have drifted.
This gun's off or
My
whatever.
fault.
You know, it's just kind of what. And then you see the young kids who are just like whap whap whap, wing 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 wing, whap whap. You know, unload and show clear. And yeah,
But that's the thing, though, Tommy, is like that. It's the beauty of what's happening is you have these younger officers who are
Damn
they're
kids.
the damn whippersnappers. But you have these younger officers who are coming in and they're slowly kind of advancing through the ranks, and they're getting themselves into a position where the older generation is they're retiring, they're quitting, whatever.
Yep.
But now they're starting to take over. And
Yep.
all of the stuff that they've learned is
So-
now becoming a part of the teaching. And that's what Jared has in his a lot of what he does is they're starting to listen to him because like, hey, that Jared guy, he's kicking our ass in every single qualification we ever do.
So one of my favorite things was this guy. He's literally been on the SWAT team for 30 years. Good shooter. I like him a lot. But he's a funny dude just because he's very old guard and very much an older fella. And he just is the epitome of, institutionalized cop. And he was talking to me because we do this competition at work and I won it. And he was talking shit. And he's like, yeah, well, I was the only one ever to shoot it clean. You'd ever shot it clean. I'm like, having a miss wasn't a penalty on a steel target. It was just you shot it slower. So good for you for not missing, but you finished 5 seconds after me.
Oh, jeez.
And I might have had one miss on a steel at 25 yards, and then I made it up in half a second, whereas you still haven't got your first shot off them. And so it's just funny but there's very much that old guy thought. And he's just like, well, at least I did this. And you're like, okay, good for you, buddy. Like,
Your
if you want
competition
to.
stuff's gonna get you killed in the street.
Well, and the guys honestly have that opinion and they'll have that argument and they'll talk to me about this. And I got in an argument with a team leader on the SWAT team because he said there is no reason. He said, because we were talking about implementing standards. And one of the standards that I brought up was about how you should be able to draw from the holster, draw from an ALS holster and fire 4 shots on a target at 5 yards in like, I don't know, it was like 3 seconds or something. It wasn't fast.
It's pretty easy.
And yeah, it's very doable. And he was like, that's stupid, man. There's no reason why you'd ever need to draw fast from a holster. And I'm like,
What? Let me
No,
send you some
no
YouTube
cops get
videos.
ambushed. Nobody ever does
You-
wild shit in front of cops to surprise them, or like push guns
Yeah.
under. Like you see all those videos out of Chicago's where guys are walking around with their coats, on. The officers go to talk to them, and then they start shooting as soon as they get the gun out of the coat. It's just like that. You
It's-
see that shit, and you're just like, damn, I should be a little bit faster on the draw.
He said that. And I just looked at him and I'm like, I don't even know what to say to you anymore because clearly you're retarded.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
Well,
I don't.
the-
Hurts
how-
sometimes.
How do we continue this conversation forward if you just said something that's so fucking asinine that I can't even I can't counter that because clearly you're a mongoloid. Like,
Well-
clearly you got some extra chromosomes. Clearly you're struggle bussing with something because that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So I just looked at him and said, okay. And then I walked away.
And that's the
Because
hard
I'm
thing,
like,
though, because
I can't. Well, what are you going to do?
Well, but that's the hard thing because, I mean, as you get older, there are things that you start to develop traditions and expectations,
like diabetes.
Exactly. And but inside of that, that is what the older generation does. That's the advantage of an older generation. You're able to look back and say, look, these are the things that we have done that worked. And
we shot minorities.
Exactly. And no, but like that's why the older generation still has a lot of value, and it's worth talking to because there are things that do work. The challenge is if you get to the point in that part of your career or your life, or whatever, where you say, well, these are the things that work and this is why we've been doing it. It's the classic thing of the little girl going to her mom and say, why do we cut the ends off a ham? Well, because my mom did it. Well, why does mom did it? Well, because grandma did it. And you go to ask grandma and she's like, because I didn't have a pan big enough.
Right.
You know, traditions are valuable and they're things that you want to pass down. But at the same time, you have the younger generation that says, look, I understand the traditions. I know what you guys are saying, but we have improved. We took all the great things that you guys gave us and we made it better. Mm-hmm. And if you, as the older generation, will allow us to at least push that ball forward, all of us are going to get better.
Well, the other part
it requires both sides of that argument, like the younger generation and the newer generation, to actually come together and say, okay, we're both looking for the same end result and the same goal. Let's figure out how to get there.
Well, one of the things that you kind of like, I'll sit about and learn about and kind of watch videos on is like how long criminals get away with certain activities because police departments did not change the way that they pursued or try to interdict those kind of activities. So like somebody sitting there on a futon and goes, wait a second, if I do X, Y, or Z, I can get away with this crime or this business for a long time because they do not look for that kind of, whatever the tactic may be. And so you see that a lot. And so the funny thing is too is about like that institutional stuff on pistol shooting or self-defense in institutions is they might say this worked and it might work for a long time with certain people, but it does not work with the technology that other people may have and their abilities too. Because the same reason that young officers are on the internet and learning how to shoot faster and quicker is the same reason that there's criminals and everyone else in the world who learns how to shoot faster and quicker. And the one thing that
Ken Nelson, go ahead.
And the one thing
I was going to say, Ken Nelson, sorry, we're like talking over each other, but
go ahead.
I mean, Ken Nelson, I mean, he came in and he talked about, like putting things on a timer, and everybody thought he was an idiot until like all of a sudden they did it with the Marines and they're like, hey, this actually is working. I mean, like, how do we measure performance?
Sense.
Let's, why don't we time it? Time it? How dare you say something like that? You know, but like we were setting up the match at the indoor match Thursday, and there was a a Sandy PD officer there, and we got talking. I was like, "Oh, did you go shoot the match?" And he's like, "No, I was working that day." I was like, "That's too bad." And somehow we got on this conversation of like, that you can't have too much competition because it develops scars, and there are these officers that they were shot and killed with bullet cases in their pocket because that's how they were taught to reload, and I'm like, okay. Number one, I don't think that's actually true.
Well, the whole reason that they got caught with the bullet casings in their pockets was not from but training, pistol shooting was because their training officer back in the 70s wanted to keep a clean range, and he did not want the empty brass catches down the range. So it was actually the police officers who got those young officers killed because they would empty, they cut the ends off of the ham. They learned that when you eject rounds out of a revolver, you put those cases and you put them in your pocket. Why? I don't know. Talk to Grandpa. But
I thought there was a really cool thing. Jared was telling me there was one of the people that came and shot the match, and she made the comment, "You could easily charge more for this match." And Jared, as you relate the story, said, yes, I could. I mean, you could charge double for this match, and it would still do all. But the point of this match is to give officers experience and teach them what is possible.
Oh, well, right. I would say you could charge 4 times for that match because all those sons of bitches were carrying staccatos. Anyways, if you got to put your staccato on a duty belt, get one of the finest duty belts in the industry. Head on over to Dominate Defense. Use promo code PARA10. I saw a few of them out there. It's a great belt, and they have a fantastic competition belt, the Mach 1 speed belt and concealment belt. I have all 3. They are fantastic. Check them out. Use promo code PARA10. Also, head on over to Rune Taskell. Head over to Rune Tactical, get a +1 follower in your gun, get all the equipment and spring needs that you need to take care of, and Kevin's going to give you a W74 guide rod commercial. Go, Kevin, go.
Well, just add some weight. You're going to change your springs anyways for competition, so come get a tungsten guide rod and add some weight, make it more stable. Might not change the world. You might still have to practice a bit, but
give your gun some love handles.
That's right.
Yeah.
Get some grip on it.
Put the extra.
Yeah, be a chunky boy.
W74 guide rods. They put an extra C in thick. Check them out. Use promo code PARA10. And Telegram, you can ask us questions. We'll do our best to answer. Get the Telegram app, search PARAcast. You'll pop right up.
From Sebastian Munoz, what's the best squad for Utah State?
All day Friday.
All day Friday, 100%. That's the squad that you're actually going to have fun on.
There's some genuine truth to that. Is it open? Is the squatting for that open?
Yeah.
Just to talk to Robert.
Yeah, if you want on the Friday squad, you got to talk to me, because I'm the one who's going to let you on it.
I should probably sign up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should come shoot with us. It'll be fun.
I'm going to shoot it. It's just I just haven't signed up for it yet.
Yeah. From Mr. Dirk Hopkins, how many rounds safely exited guns at the 2 matches?
Ooh.
What do we say? 89,000 for the cop match?
What? 400 times 355.
Yeah, 400 times 350, boys.
142,000. 142,000. Jiminy Crispies. That's a lot of rounds.
The funny thing is too is like you would see like one of the targets that was like a low slant target, and then there'd be a pit in the bay, and then you do the math, and it's like, oh, that's a 600 round shovel. That's what dug that hole was 600 rounds from
not
all
a divot, but an actual
like
pit.
a 1.5 foot pit from people shooting.
Stick your hand in there, and lead poisoning will instantly happening.
We actually started to have some issues on Saturday because some of the areas where you run through were starting to get so worn out that guys are just slipping on it because it was so clapped out. The poor dirt on the ground was just slippery. And so I had cleats on, those Solomon's cross treks or whatever, and I fell actually twice in the match where I caught myself, so I didn't like full biff it. But I slipped and fell forward and almost died twice, and then I stood up and ran. But it was a lot of people. Like the more you think about it, and the more like that poor porta potty has to think about it. It was a lot of people.
Well,
that porta potty was at the part where any of those old dudes who ever carried a revolver,
balls.
Yeah, their scrotes are gonna get Poseidon's kiss.
Poseidon. What?
They're gonna have to sit down and like throw them over their shoulder to try to make this work because
they're going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I walked over to that porta potty. I opened up the door. I look in and I'm like, nope, this isn't gonna happen. Because even if you're standing up, the splash effect alone is still gonna get you.
The other thing that I thought was kind of like if the surface terrain didn't feel clapped out, the amount of brass that was everywhere, like it was like hard.
And it's all once fired.
It's all once fired, shiny, bright stuff. Like I picked up a Ziploc gallon bag of brass on
Did
Wednesday,
you really?
And I was just like, I was thinking about the other, and I was just like, oh, I can't do this. I can't pick up.
Ron Treacle was going for him.
That's what he did. Is he? There was one stage where it was a steel challenge, kind of, where you shot 4 plates from one window, 4 plates from another window, 4 plates from another window. So all the steel was on basically. I mean, all the brass was right there on the concrete. Everybody's shooting 9, and so Ron was just over there after the match, just like, "This is great." And he had like a
little leprechaun with
he had
his
a whole
pot of gold.
5-gallon bucket. He had a whole 5-gallon bucket, and it was full. And he's just like, "This is great. This is fantastic."
Yeah.
And so there were a couple people that I had to chase off, and I was like, I walk up to them because they were just picking up brass. I'm like, "Are you an RO?" And he just looks at me and goes, "No." I'm like,
beat it.
Well, I want to leave.
Thanks for picking that up for me.
I want to leave, so get out of here. And he just goes, okay, well, I probably picked up as much as I shot, so it's fine. I'm like, I don't care how much you picked up. I just
You're not supposed to
need
pick up shit.
Eat.
Lost brass.
So just go on now, get. And he did, and so it was fine.
From Alex
fun time.
From Alex Mansfield, any DQs?
We
During
had
the
three
cop match.
DQs total.
Yeah, I don't.
Three DQs total.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And it wasn't, and none of them were bad. One of them was just, I felt bad for this one kid. He's just a stink. The very first DQ of the match, he shoots the whole stage, does great. On the unload and show clear, he turns to the RO behind him and he turns in 90 degrees and unloads it and goes, "It's clear." And he breaks the 180 because he's pointing the gun backwards. And the RO's like, "Stop!" And he's like, "Yeah, it's clear." Oh. And so I had to DQ this poor bastard, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, bro. Like I don't know what to tell you.
I told you don't feel bad for.
Yeah, and then we had one guy fall on a stage, on the running stage. He fell, but he did a good job. He sacrificed his body and his gun to keep safe. And so he cut up his hand pretty good, falling on the rocks, and then he smashed his gun into the ground. And it slid away from him. So obviously he got DQ'd. But from what I understand, it never broke, actually, the 180. But he broke his delta point when he fell.
Oh.
When he fell, it smashed it. Like, so you guys, he hit it pretty hard.
Yeah.
So luckily I had one of those Vortex Defender STs that's a delta point footprint. So I had a bunch of those to give away for the prize table. So I just took one off the prize table. I'm like, here you go, Chris. Good job. Good job sacrificing. You sacrifice your body for safety, so you get this. Also, you're DQ'd.
Yeah, the only thing that I saw during the match, like everyone was very safe. I did not have any 180 breaks. I didn't have really any issues. Like we saw like a couple guys like with their STIs like not put the safety on and holster it, and I was like, please put the safety on, and then they go like, oh, okay, just like regular nerves, and they put the safety on, they're ready to go. Like it was the better than previous years. It was really good. It was really good.
Yeah, they've actually gotten really, really good.
It gets better every single year.
Yes, it does. 100% it does.
The big problem, though, it's funny because I knew this was going to happen. When I tell like people, like, "Hey guys, make sure this is a cold range. You got to go unload, and have an RO unload you or whatever. Just go unload it. As long as I can't see you, like just go unload it." And then you have these guys that are just like standing against like a random berm, unloading their gun and throwing a gold dot on the ground. You're like, "Bro, that's not how you do it." And they're like, "It's clear." I'm like,
I guess you're right.
I laughed and I was like, well, I wasn't any worse than IDPA State when we just saw dudes just like taking guns out and waving them around. What is that guy doing? What's that guy doing, Tom?
They self designate places safe areas. It's just like this ain't your first match. What are you doing, dude? So
this looks safe. It's a table. Yeah.
Let's see. Will you do it again next year?
Yeah, no, next year we're going to have the cop match, the Utah Law Enforcement Championship. If you're interested in learning more about it or following it, we have a group on Facebook called UTLE matches, I think, or shooting matches. And then there's an Instagram that I just made, UTLE_matches. And those are going to be 2 spots to follow. I'm also going to put all the photos from the match up there. We had a photographer come out who actually took professional photos, and hopefully I get them this year. So we'll see if those show up. I learned though last time, and I'm gonna pay him when I get the photos. So it's just fine. And we're gonna do the cop match next year. We're actually looking into doing this type of match more at just like a club level, but I don't know. I need to talk to the board about it a little bit more and finalize a couple things, but that might be in the pipeline, where I am going to be an MD for just like club matches like once a month, and then we'll just run it my scoring, and we'll just do like it'll just be the slips of stages where I just swap out the targets and maybe change a wall or change a couple things, and then we'll run it my scoring though. And so we'll see. This very possible we're going to get a lot more of this. So we'll see. It'll be fun.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where's Steve? Did Steve and Kenny run away together?
Who?
Yeah, that's what I said. Moving on. If you had to go to a major match, what are your feelings about lunch? Should the match provide it? Should it be optional?
No,
No.
you're a grown adult. Make your own damn lunch. Make your breakfast. Have lunch. You go to dinner with your friends.
Wipe your
I mean,
butt
if they want to
too.
do optional, do optional. I think that works out all right from a match perspective. But
I love
So
it. I love it when they do lunch if I'm the RO.
Yeah.
so here's the thing. From a match director standpoint, I cannot do a lunch.
Yeah, don't do that.
It slows down the match. And remember earlier, who's the god? Who is the god that we
Match flow.
sacrifice bullets to? His name is Match Flow, and he does not eat lunch. So that's the big thing. And so guys have talked to me before and requested, like, why don't you bring, like, a food truck out or something, and you don't even have to pay them, just have them, like, competitors can buy whatever they want from the food truck. But the
Food trucks are
problem is
death.
how long is that going to take? How much is that going to slow the match down? If guys get hungry and then wander over to the food truck and they try to buy some tacos, and guess
there's
what,
not-
they're backed
then
up,
there's
and
not
now it's 15
resetting.
minutes to wait for
Yep.
their fucking tacos.
Yep.
And so it doesn't work. The best
Yeah.
way that I've found to do it is how I do it in my matches, where we have one of the stages is actually a designated sponsor alley, where we have all the sponsors who want to shoot and stuff. They're on one bay, so they all get a shoot. And it was really funny. The sponsors are all hilarious because they're all these silencer companies, and every single silencer company, and I'm not joking, every single one came up to me and said, "Hey, next year." Well, I was going to complain about being on the bay with all these other companies, but it's actually really great because my silencers are so quiet and their silencers are so loud. So thanks. Then he walks away. Then the next silencer company comes up and goes, "Hey, I was going to complain about this, but actually it works out because my silencers are quieter than theirs. So this is
Yeah.
great." And then the next one, and it was really funny. All of them did it. And I'm like, well, good. You guys all seem to think you guys have the best cans. Only one of them had a shotgun that was suppressed, and I wanted to shoot that. And that was the one thing I regret from this match is I forgot to shoot the suppressed shotgun because I want to be Antoine Sugar from No Country for Old Men. And it's just, that was one thing I meant to do, and I just forgot to because I was running around like a goat on fire. So, and then as part of that stage, I have a dude there who's just cooking up hot dogs, and he's just having a fun time, and he likes it. He bought a Camp Chef just for this match, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I got this just so I can make you guys hot dogs. It's fun. My wife likes doing it. She likes hanging out, and it's a good time." And so that's been the most effective way that I found to do it, where we have like snacks and stuff at that bay. But it's not bad though, because yeah, if somebody wants to come over from stage 1 or stage 2 or whatever, then grab a hot dog, it's fine. It's not going to slow anything down. Versus if I had a food truck, people are going to start milling about. It's just going to slow everything down. And so the one time I saw a food truck work really well was IDPA State this past one, I think.
Yeah.
WDSA did it, where it was at the end of the match. They had a food truck show up, and it was, no, you can order anything you want for free, but it's between steak tacos or chicken tacos. You get to pick. But it's part of your sign up fee is $10 to this food truck. And so it worked out nice because you just like, no, hey, can I have these tacos? And then they just gave them to you. And so that worked.
It also rallies
it
everyone
also-
around to the end of the match to get prizes and everything else too. Like
Right.
It kind of works in that way. Like, but that's the dinner. Like lunch and breakfast, that's on you. Like have your snacks, keep going. And if you're counting on the range to sit there and provide you something, like the chances that it doesn't work is actually pretty high.
I don't even really like eating on match days. I just have a couple liquid IVs and some light food, because if I start eating heavy shit, I start to feel heavy, and that's not good.
Yep.
Very much
And
I
so
feel a lot better if I'm a little bit hungry.
occasionally I'll feel spicy about life and go to Beto's and grab a breakfast burrito on the way in, and then I have to go and support King Poseidon and that Blue Lagoon, and so I have to pay my tribute to him.
King
so it's not
Poseidon.
great.
It's pronounced
Yeah.
Poseidon. All right, next question, Robert.
But we did go to that Mobetta's place, which I'd never been to before, and
No,
10 out of 10.
Mobetta's is
I
pretty
love
great.
that place.
Yep.
Oh my
thank
gosh,
you,
I love this
Young.
place.
Thank you, Young, for buying me and Robert dinner.
There's nothing like a bunch of steak and white rice to make you feel better about life.
Oh yeah.
Oh. From Sean Edmonds, I bought the Double Alpha ratchet belt. What's the good and bad of it? Well, it's not a dominate defense belt, so fuck you. Moving on.
That's what I said.
That's correct.
Let's see. Trying to find
The
scrolling. They want to know who. They want to know who got banned. When will USPSA realize banning and disciplining members is not helping make the situation better? I don't think anybody's been banned.
When it's not run by old white people.
Yep, it's the problem. Old white people.
Dang, those are the people who have all the time, though.
I know.
This is true.
Like that.
They ruin everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one's gotten banned recently.
No, they asked about it last week. Mark
Stamper,
Stamper was asked to meet the board of directors because they wanted to talk to him, and he did a podcast saying he wasn't going to do it, and there it is. They're supposed to have a meeting here sometime. So whether he does or doesn't, I have no idea.
It'd be bad taste for them to
what did he do?
Go through and do it.
Well, I don't know. I have no idea. God, what did he say? Probably just stuff he said online, I guess.
Yep.
It wasn't about him making comments about Donna or something like that on one of the live stream. Like he was watching the live stream of the show or something like that and made comments and I don't know, he's up
like
for
pervy comments.
I don't think pervy.
No, like incompetence or something, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It is different though. I mean, I just from what little I know of it, it's actually a good thing compared to what it has been, because it used to be like suspend or ban you, and then you can come groveling to us. But right now it's like, hey, why don't you come talk to us and see if we can solve something, which is different. I mean, so maybe that's a good thing.
You were talking shit.
Well,
how dare you do that?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that I find like just go about your business. Like you're running a business. People talk shit about it all the time. Like what like how many times have you had bad food at McDonald's and you talk shit about McDonald's and then you went back? And like did they go like, "Hey, we're not serving you," unless you're throwing shit around the freaking dining room and slapping other people's kids. They're generally you should be like, "All right, whatever." Like you got a bad burger.
I think, Tommy, that's actually a part of it is because Mark Stamper is actually a section coordinator. And so there is a certain level. Look, I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I know, which is pretty damn limited.
Let elected people talk shit.
Like I don't have a problem.
Remove them from that. But like, the whole internal looking in about like, they said what about who? This is very much like the institutional inertia of I have to protect my identity. I have to protect my role. And this thing is just like, no, let people talk shit.
If only we had like all the board meetings we could do all this important work in, right? It's like every meeting they have at USPSA, we spend 4 hours talking about some bullcrap, and then we can't talk about the finances. We're out of time.
We're out of time. Internet drama took up most of our time. The gossip, the gossip happened. It's just like get over it. Get over it.
Yeah.
People don't like you. Please. Even when you do a good job, people don't like you. Move on with the business of the people.
Let's see, from Andrew Roderick. What's the largest square footage house Robert has designed? Do you have a favorite? And if so, why? We did a house, can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say it was 37,000 and change square feet. It was pretty cool.
It had a
soccer. It had a soccer field and a tennis court underground. That was impressive. The most favorite house we ever did was actually my father designed it, and it was a handful of years ago. But it's always been my favorite. It was a Dutch gambrel, and I still drive past it all the time, and the same owners still own it. But I always liked how pretty that house actually turned out, and they used my favorite window company in the world, which is Colby Windows. And so it's always kind of had a special place to me, just because I just think it turned out so damn well.
And they have a hidden pit where Robert throws the neighborhood cats in that they don't even know about. They're like, why does it always smell here in the summer? It must be that tree. That tree always smells so bad.
Tommy, what was your most memorable delivery?
Oh, my most memorable delivery was a pickup. I was back in like 2004 as like brand new fresh faced Tom delivering, and I'm doing the doing the pickup log for going by, making sure everyone's getting their pickups and all their next airs going out and all that jazz. And I'm going through this place, and I walk down there and I look up, and there's some porn on the like it's like a porn poster, and like there's shipping and receiving, and like today's workplace that stuff doesn't really happen, but in like 90s and early 2000s Southern California, like you'd go into like a shop and there'd be some like Playboy picture or whatever on the wall, and you're like, whatever. And I'm like, okay. And then I look around, and then I'm seeing like, oh my gosh, this place is like littered with like naked things. And then I look, and you kind of understand what's going there, and there's a bunch of what looks like women hanging from their neck, and there's people standing around and they're completely nude. And then you're just like, oh my gosh, I am in a sex
What the
doll
hell?
factory. Like the if you ever seen that movie like Lars and the Real Girl, I was actually in the Real Girl factory making a pickup for UPS. And in that stupid movie, they have a UPS guy deliver like the big box. And it was like I remember picking those things up. We were in there, and there's just like you just walk in there, and it is like the most it is like a serial killer factory. You walk in there and you see all, and you're just like, what the hell is going on? And so I got done the next day, and I went over and I talked to the guy. His name was Lee. I think Lee Blair. And I was like, Lee, what is this place? He goes, oh yeah, yeah, that's the sex doll factory. And I was just
we
like, oh my,
didn't talk about that.
no. Well, because in the dyad too, it doesn't say, hey, sex doll factory. It says, I think it was like Abyss Industries, and you're just like some generic name, and you're just like, all right, well, like you go in there, and you're like, and then you just pick because normally you're just going through your diet, looking at what's next and figuring out what's next. Then you like wake up and you like get a little situational awareness, and you just feel like, oh no, I'm at a crime scene. And that's kind of how it feels. But yeah, that was pretty wild.
Can I disrupt the chat for a second and tell a funny story about a sex doll?
Oh, please do.
So there's this poor guy who died, and apparently he was in the middle of a good night where he was watching porn, having a good wank, made himself some steak. He made himself some steak.
They call those me days. He's having a me day.
He's having a good day. He's having a Tom Nelson day. And it just didn't have he didn't have his pants on, making steak, had a good porno going, and having a good wank, has a heart attack, dies.
What a way to go.
So it is. Now, his family, after a couple days, don't hear from him. They go and they check on him. They find him, and the porn's still going because it's a DVD. It's a DVD. It's not even like on Pornhub or anything. So it's on loop. It's just going. It's like it's at the doctor's office. It's just going. Backdoor Sluts 9 is just playing and playing and playing. So they show up. They turn off the porn. They call the cops. Say, we found Uncle Larry. He's dead. Sorry. And we're like, all right, well, that's okay. So we have him step out just for decency's sake. And as he steps out, my older coworker, it was his case, and I was just helping him. So he's dead on the ground, got his poor little wang out, just dead. And you're like, at least you went out having a good time, buddy. And I go and just look around the apartment. It's a small apartment. And in his bed, there's a sex doll. And there's a closet that is just full of sex dolls of different colors. They have different pubic hair. They have different hair. Like, they have different sized boobs. Like, they have different everything.
Well, this is Utah. You got to have multiple wives.
It made me happy because there's like a whole different selection. But the best part is there was an actual blown up one in the bed that was, I don't know, mid-coitus, we'll call it. But it was covered up for a sec. It was covered up when I walked in the room. So when I walked in the room, I actually thought it was a person for a second. And I was like, oh. And then I'm like, that's a fucking doll. I'm like, oh,
literally,
I'm gonna have fun with this. So
just like the guy did.
Exactly. So we get the family members to leave. And as the family members go outside, I close the door and I turn around and I look at my partner. I'm like, Eric, did you see the other body? And he goes, what? I'm like, there's another fucking body in the fucking bed. It's a chick. She's fucking dead. And he goes, are you fucking serious? Oh, man. And he runs in there and he sees it. And I hear him go, oh, fuck. And then he goes, oh, God damn it, Step. And he goes, And he comes barreling out, and he's just like, "You motherfucker!" I'm like, "Ah, I gotcha." So we did that to the lieutenant and the
everyone's coming in.
Everybody who came in. So I did it to Eric, and then he
You-
did it
you-
to
you guys are so
the
lucky.
lieutenant.
You're so lucky there wasn't another body in there that you guys found like
I
2
know.
hours later, and you go, wait a second. And then what
Oh,
happened?
shit.
Well, then
Under
we
the
proceeded to
bed.
go into there. It was a practical joke. We're all having a good time. When did you finally discover the actual second body? Like 3 hours later. So who was in there running around upside down and like messing with the whole crime scene? We only play the joke on 6 people. Like,
Well, the best part was how I did it to Eric, then Eric did it to the lieutenant, and then the lieutenant did it to the violent crimes detective. When the violent crimes, the homicide detective shows up, and she's like, "Oh God, what is this one?" And they're like, "Well, it's kind of a fun one. Did they tell you how it was a double?" And she's like, "What? It's not going to be a natural causes if it's a double." And they're like, "Exactly. Come check this out. It's going to be an interesting one." So she comes in. She's like, "Oh, God damn it!" And then she walks out, looks around. You hear it. Fuck! God, you pieces of shit. And so that was. There you go. There's my contribution to the podcast. And derailing everything, but that's my favorite sex doll story.
Well, hopefully you didn't take all the ones out of the closet, make a pile on the floor, and put a blanket over. It's like it's a multiple.
No, they were buried with him. They were buried with him. That's an important tradition of kings of the old. All of his concubines are buried with him. Also, fun fact: this man was a janitor at a school.
What?
Not gonna tell you which school.
Only our best. Anyway, thanks for listening, downloading, and subscribing. We appreciate all you guys do. And if that story was out of your taste, well,
wait a week. We'll be back with more.
We'll be back with more. We'll be here all. Well, I think this is never ending. So anyway, thanks for downloading, subscribing, all that. For Jared Stepp, Robert Wyatt, and Kevin Isaac, I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and soul as we depart into the open waters of the sea of life on a little floating doll we like to call the PARAcast.
Good night, everybody.
Squonk, squonk.